try and film them and said we've got to have a helicopter, even if we have to pay for it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But very
well, to finish first you must finish, isn't it? So you've got to be there at the end.
I think very soon, next week maybe.
One of these is some links in the Paul May documentation.
Rally Press and Practice Day south of Auckland and Maramarua Forest. The international names don't turn up, but then they weren't seriously expected. But the local heroes are here in force. Paul Adams in what's virtually a work starlet. Paul Dewar's Chevette has been painted variously red, white, and two blues during its rally career. Today the car sports a new coat for the international. Jim Donald driving a bulky-looking Nissan Turbo team car. And another New Zealander in the Nissan team, Reg Cook. Building a works Nissan thousands of kilometres from the works is no mean feat. Local rally champ Tony Teasdale has just at this 9th hour got his car together.
Well, we've got 90% of them, and we just picked up a box from Nissan Datsun this morning, which was air freighted in, and we're certainly glad to have that because that'll help with our steering problems.
There was a business about painting the towing eyes in the car.
Yeah, that's one of those strange little things, really. I gather that last year there wasn't too much wrong with scrutineering, but that was one of the funny little things that they picked up. So this year we have a special instruction to paint all our towing eyes red. So we've gone a fair bit of trouble to put the red paint under there.
Number up.
Topping up with the sponsor's product does you good.
Okay, pump it through.
Teasdale's service crew might have been topping up with Shell and an escort that they'd been preparing simultaneously and would have entered had not the Nissan parts arrived in the nick of time. Rallying's not like a Grand Prix race. The competitors don't rush from the starting grid, darting and thrusting for the lead into the first corner. Normally, a rally driver won't see another competitor until the end of a special stage. That is, unless he catches someone, or has himself been caught, or has just plain stopped. The competitors leave at minute intervals, and the markers show the way. The red one shows exactly where the change of direction is, and the green and red points that the change of direction is coming. The special stages on the Sanyo Rally of New Zealand will not be approached at this gentle pace. This is the last opportunity for testing, for co-drivers to warm to their rally-long recitation of pace notes. And they are, for those who have them, a record of the twists, the turns, the straights, the road surfaces of more than 1,000 kilometres of hell for leather driving. Pace notes have to be right. The pace note option is off. Everything must function properly. There won't be an opportunity to record a driver's view of the rally from inside a car when the event begins in 2 days' time. A timing tweak and Teasdale is satisfied.
You want to give it a few reds then?
Paul Adams is delighted with his style, although you'd never know. More a warehouse than a workshop. 3 of the Nissan team cars in a quiet, ordered final preparation. Talking gearboxes. Spare struts assembled, ready. Complete rear axles. Cartons of shock absorbers. Packaged oil and grease. Wiring nuts to prevent them shaking loose. Providing sufficient French ballpoints for a New Zealand co-driver in a Japanese car. The serious nature of rallying to the car manufacturers never been more evident. Could this be renowned German precision? The Audi Quattros of Mouton, Mikola and now Blomqvist as well, the controversial third entrant. By stark contrast, Malcolm Stewart's unstickered Escort BDA, no longer a state-of-the-art rally car perhaps. Nonetheless, plastered with their compulsory costumes of rally sponsor stickers, cars become rally art. Quite naturally, the exotic Lancias attract more attention than the other cars queuing for documentation. Lancia team manager Russo has been here before with the winning Fiat team in 1977. Co-driver Geisdorfer signs on.
This was the 135.
Lanky Championship points leader Walter Roll looks on. There's no apparent tension, even rivalry, between Lancia and Audi as Fabrizio Pons and Michel Mouton complete their entry.
There's a lot more people with documentation here than what there is at Pukekohe.
26:11:46, Reg.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
From documentation, Reg Cook steers his Nissan towards scrutineering, a mystical place. Precisely what goes on we're not permitted to see. But here it's established that a car is exactly as described on the entry form. One entry was to become a problem, a third Audi for Stig Blomqvist. Initially, the organisers agreed the entry would be accepted with pleasure. So far, so good, or so it seemed. Clerk of Course, Ross Montgomery, describes what happened then.
Entries for the rally closed on the 28th of May. And on the 10th of June, Audi contacted us, and the organisers said yes, they could start. And then the Sporting Authority in New Zealand Motorsport Association told us that we had contravened our regulations and the entry could not be accepted. This was notified to the agent in New Zealand, and from that, when the Audis arrived here, they put a protest in. The protest was heard by the stewards, who couldn't rule on it, and following that, the only course of action open to Audi was either to not run the third car or appeal to the National Court of Appeal, which is what they've done, and they will now start the event and run under appeal.
Some residents of Auckland's domain are quite unruffled, in perfect control. Some residents never approve of anything. 59 starters in Parc Ferme. Here you can look, but you can't touch until the given minute when the cars are released to the teams in order of seeding into class. Only in Parc Ferme is it possible to see all the cars together. There won't be such a gathering at the end. And whether all the Nissans, the 2 supercharged Lancias, and the 3 turbocharged four-wheel drive Audis will make it through, like the rally remains to be seen. As Walter Roll threads his #1 Lancia through the crowded domain to the start ramp, it's already evident this rally will be popular with spectators. More people will turn out to watch, regardless of the weather, in the next 3 days than were ever dreamed of as paying spectators in a provincial rugby season.
4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, well back down the southern end there. Cheerio Batago in the second last and of course the first New Zealand are coming up to the ramp now. A very colourful, wonderful personality in motor racing.
At last, after the preparation and publicity, the Sanyo Rally of New Zealand is really on its way. Through the North Island, from Auckland down to the forests of Rotorua. Crossing to the east coast and heading north of Gisborne. Turning and heading south of Gisborne. Back through the night to rest in Rotorua. South to Lake Taupo, across towards the west coast through Taumarunui, and returning to Auckland. The start line of Special Stage 1. Of the 33 special stages, there is only one shorter. They stretch from 5 kilometres to 95. A regular competitor in New Zealand, Hanu Mikela, begins what he doesn't know will become a critical stage for Audi. Michel Mouton. Nissan #1, Timo Salonen, accelerates up toward the cutting. Just beyond this corner, the tarmac gives way to metal. No mistaking Tony Teasdale's sponsor as he powers away, with more than 1,000 kilometres of special stage in front of him. Reg Cook of the Nissan 240 RS. report gets away, he's renowned as a 10/10th driver, which means he drives to the limit. In the tension of the rally start, not everybody pulls away as smoothly as they would like. Inky Tulloch, whose rally lasted only 3 stages. New Zealand Motorsport Association President Maury Chandler again campaigns a Mitsubishi Lancer. This is his 11th international rally. Paul Dewar sat for a while, blipping his throttle, set to power strongly away and didn't quite, but recovered quickly, and he's off against the clock. Peter Watt has brought his Mazda RX-7 across Cook Strait, dividing the islands to compete in his first international, but it's nothing new to Paul Adams.
Be happy when we get to the end of it. We had a better view up top there.
A gentle motorway tour from Auckland to the first stage for Jim Donald has gone remarkably without incident.
Good, thank you. Hadn't have any excitement up to this part.
The best is yet to come, eh?
I'm sure, yeah.
In rebuilding what had been Reg Cook's Bluebird Turbo, something of that driver's personality seemed to have rubbed off on Jim Donald. With competition underway, the rally-long grind begins for the service crews. They set out in assorted utilities and vans and even borrowed family cars to rendezvous with their drivers at designated service areas along the route. 2 Audis are through to service. As yet, there's no desperate hurry and time for a little light adjustment.
But to move like this, it's this one only, or under?
But I think I'm strong enough without this. I can do it.
The small one. Hey, this one?
Michelle Mouton and Stig Blomqvist are here, but where is Hannu Mikkola in the first Audi, car number 2? For a time in the daylight, 2 helicopters will attend the rally leaders, heralding the cars arriving through the special stages. Helicopter crews can drop spares to car crews stranded in a stage, but flyers risk their car driver's exclusion if they physically help fix the problem. Audi team manager Roland Gumpert brings news of Hannu Mikkola's troubles in the first short stage. The Audi's cam belt broke, and although help was on high, so to speak, Mikkola finished the stage dead last, 22 minutes behind Baltimore. Mystery Creek is a stage for spectators. They come to see Baltimore uncharacteristically stall. Then go on to make 3rd fastest time. Drivers may not regard this brief 5 kilometers as a serious component in an international event, but it is the only stage where rally people can watch almost everything and where drivers are fresh and willing to put on a show. cultural display, thousands of spectators crowded Mystery Creek's natural amphitheatre. Timo Sutherland. Twists and turns of this tightly contained stage make it imperative that it be clearly marked. Stig Blomqvist. Overrun flame. Further back down the field, Tony Ornstein begins his run through Mystery Creek. Neil Biles, who lives close by in Cambridge, is trying very hard. Will shortly experience a unique view of the last corner out of Mystery Creek. He was able to continue hardly the worse for wear. Rally cars have roll cages, although drivers are not compelled to test them. The motorsport editor of Auckland's Herald newspaper equipped his car with a roll cage and a sump guard, took out the back seat, put in the required spares, and entered the rally. John Coker's Skoda has 35 brake horsepower to push it through the stages. A Lancia has around 300. Lanciers compete for the World Championship. Coker competes to finish and for fun. And that's infectious.
When I turned the key, it was plain to see it was love at first sight. When I took a look, I knew that I was hooked. It was love at first sight. When I saw your style, I broke.
About in Forest at night, groups of watchers have studied the route maps and decided this place, more than any other, is the place to wait. Lights flash in the sky and the rally cars flash briefly by as the sound and light comes together for the watchers. For the thousands who make the effort in the Tokoroa Forest on stage 6, it's well worth the wait. Sometimes at night, the forest responds to the noisy intruders with its own primeval cries. Michel Mouton going much faster than the New Zealanders we've so far seen. Apparently seeking something amongst the pine trees, Attilio Bottega plunges on with Italian verve, fast but not as tidy as his champion teammate. Betty Milligan patiently notes start and finish stage times on the driver's cards, recording the difference to the nearest second. She's worked several international rallies and countless local events. Peter Possum-Bourne's co-driver Ken Fricker, literally with time on his hands.
How are you? Good.
Car coming. Yes, I'm hardly here.
Thank you. 17:33.
Everyone feels the need to know how fast the others are going. Little consolation for Reg Cook. For in the second division, he'll have to go much faster. And the second division is, after all, 3 times as long as the first.
Timo is 23:47. And Shaker was 25:11.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Everything alright with you guys? You solved that gear problem, Reginald? You okay, eh? Everything's good.
Well, the gears are actually good and they work.
You've never liked it, have you?
It's still not perfect, but it must have been. Could be the gear changer.
Yeah, probably is. Tell him to use the clutch.
Lancia Servicing Saturday night at Rotorua. The major team service in well-organised local garages where the doors can be closed for the ever-curious public, and where team manager Russo and co-driver Geistorfer can discuss the progress on the latest Lancia appeal against the Audi of Stig Blomqvist. Blomqvist is ahead of Walter Roll, who's not at all happy with his Lancia's nighttime behaviour.
It was so good during daytime. I don't know, maybe it's something wrong with the tires. We haven't changed nothing on the car. They are coming with the nighttime and it was unbelievable.
Rotorua is essentially a town for a different sort of tourist, one who has time to look about him. But tonight the pleasures of hot pools and the luxuries of geyser gazing are simply ignored. As in the Travelodge Hotel at rally headquarters, the precise state of the rally is collated.
Go ahead.
John Bruce circles the starters. Clark, of course, Ross Montgomery checks and double checks the 56 cars still running at the end of Division 1.
Oh, 7, yeah.
The circle shows the car started, and the cross indicates that the car has completed the special stage.
Right, special stage 8. Car number 43, 1648.
150.39.
Car 50, 1651.
Too early for tourists, even perhaps fishermen. 6 o'clock on Sunday morning for breakfast. The lead car is due away at 7 o'clock, Michel Mouton's Audi. And then, if Lancia's appeals fail, Blomqvist's Audi, and a long way back to Hannu Mikkola, here pondering which New Zealand breakfast cereal will best prepare him for his remarkable charge back through the field, until frustrated on the very last stage of this tradition. For the rest, it's a cheerful breakfast amongst the friends they meet on most internationals. The rally heads away from Rotorua towards stage 9 on a clear winter's Sunday morning. Now Tony Teasdale shows how it's done when you're in fine form and third fastest New Zealander on the stage. Neil Allport comes wriggling down the dusty trail, further confusing the old rally watchers' argument amongst those who prefer to watch from the outside of the corner and those who prefer to watch from the inside, where they suppose it's safer. An untidy moment for Allport, but nonetheless he was 6th fastest on the stage. expected, the fastest started, typically smooth, Paul Adams. It'll be breakfast time tomorrow before these competitors return to Rotorua. Now it's the North driver, Shane Quinn, who led the 1600cc class until halfway through the last division. Frosted gravel on special stage 10. East Coast roads that Valterol later remarked must have cost Audi lots of money to make especially for their four-wheel drive traction. Michel Bouton slides deep towards the apex of the bend. A flick of the wheel and powers away. And then comes Valterol, seemingly right on top of the gravel that he finds so unstable. Pushes the Lancia down toward the bend on a wide line. And like Mouton, he doesn't find the hollow at the very outside edge of the bend. Timo Salinen's pace notes make no mention of a hollow. But he finds it anyway. And he delights the small crowd, as crowds crave excitement. Motorsport Association President Maury Chandler, always in the top 10 in New Zealand international rallies, approaches the hollow. By now the frost has almost melted from the road, the pace has dropped noticeably, but the hollow has become a hole. Limbrick is quick in his start. Just quick enough to recover, possibly thanks to spectator semaphore driving instructions. This is Possum Bourne's Subaru. Apart from the Audis, the other four-wheel drive car in the event. Kapuni does it gently. John Coker trots along well down the field, though there are other more powerful cars who may have suffered mechanical problems or had little off, in succinct rally jargon, who starting the stage minutes behind Coker need all the 38 kilometres to overtake his consistent driving. Just what any red-blooded spectator hopes for. Tony Ornstein finds the hole but manages anyway, at the same time disappointing and delighting those watching. The sheep can return to their grazing, tail-end Charlie is on his way, and the rally people move off towards the North Island's Pacific coast. On the 63-kilometre Waimata Valley stage, Michel Mouton thunders by in the lead. Timo Salinen sprinkles a field with small rocks that masquerade as gravel hereabouts. Hannu Mikkola, in his determined bid to regain his start position in the top four, is living up to his name. But even so, the Flying Finn seldom sets a faster stage time than the remarkable French driver. No other Audi follows in the billowing dust. A final ruling from the event's panel of stewards plucked Stig Blomqvist from the event this morning as he prepared to start. While Maury Chandler plugs on, quick and steady. The battle up front is between two Audis, two Lancias, two Nissans, a lone Escort and two more Nissans. But does not include Tony Teasdale, after working so hard just to take part, his Nissan blew a head gasket on the previous stage. Long stages always mean the possibility of catching up or being caught. When closing in, a driver curses the dust. Dust obscures the vision. It compels teams to rely more and more on their pace notes and pray that they're accurate to the meter. Apparently Rover can distinguish between those with pace notes and those without. But there are many drivers who have not had the luxury of a complete recce of the event, painstakingly recording every twist and turn of the way. for them, close following in the dust demands a new determination, and a courage and a skill to keep the pace. Where else would you see a mini in an international rally? You won't again. This one finished well. John Carter's escort. And near the end of the field, out of the dust, comes Paul Richards' Honda Civic. The inevitable helicopter heralds Michel Mouton's arrival at control. As the Audi's engine revs drop momentarily, a warning light flashes from the dashboard, a first hint perhaps of engine wear, or merely something quite usual. Time will tell, just as the sheer physical effort required to drive at an impossible pace through 68 twisting kilometers in 46 minutes tells on the face of the driver. Tolaga Bay on New Zealand's east coast, a quiet, unhurried spot whose normal peaceful composure is disturbed for a few hectic hours on a Sunday afternoon. For all the people on the rally, the long night stages are not far away. And sensibly, lights are fitted while there's plenty of service time. There'll be more mechanical work to do later.
No, Jürgen, we will do all the service here then.
No, we have to service, but I was...
Yes, but they want to change the rear drive shaft.
So we can do it, no problem, just with petrol.
I said to them that.
Huh? So we fill it up here, and you check only the petrol up there.
For the 90.
Hannu Mikkola acknowledges some encouragement, but is obviously preoccupied by the mental and physical pressures of his race back through the field. Mikkola has been driving himself very hard. Timo Salonen arrives for a change of tyres. The Nissan team has hundreds of tyres, and you'd think that practice with a wheel brace would make perfect, wouldn't you? Yvonne Mater contemplates a gearbox change. It was as well the Nissan team who prepared all the gearboxes we saw at the beginning. They needed them, not because of major problems, just a niggling selector fault in third gear. Reg Cook has seen it all before, several times. Here's how an expert handles a wheel brace. And Malcolm Stewart, lead escort driver, explains why he's grateful to the unfortunate Neil Allport.
We had a few interesting moments. One of them would have been, well, one of them was an interesting moment was there, but it was rather saved by Neil Allport's Zedkis.
Is Allport off in there, isn't he?
He's off well and truly, yes, right down the paddock.
Take off over the bank, don't they?
It looks like he just locked up on a corner and unfortunately went, straight ahead and nosed over, but he was walking around, so he's okay.
Yeah, a bit more, a bit harder. Who said they didn't make Japanese cars strong?
Will it take all of it?
Yeah, I hope so.
Allport's down a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Take off. Yeah, but panel damage, isn't it? Under the bumper. Under the bumper. We banged it last night. I'm allowed one per rally. just you can't find it. Hang on. Just there. All right. In case you miss it. The stone chips count? Yeah.
Some teams have all the tyres they need, others make do with the few they can afford.
But we have to keep some in reserve, but these are absolutely shot. There was a lot of tar seal on that stage. That's where Neil Allport went off. Straight off over about 200 feet bank.
The rally reaches Gisborne, and after Sunday dinner, again passes on through to another special stage control tent. Inside, Betty Milligan again assembles a few small comforts and organises her fellow volunteers for the precise duties of rally time.
Not from Park 2, mate.
Isn't it?
No. You hear this list while cars are still coming into town?
52. Ah, we've missed.
Shaker Mesa's Nissan goes by on a Sunday evening. Jim Donald's turbocharged car leaves the gravel and hits the seal. In Waigatu Forest, Jeff Ray's Escort shows up briefly, pink, with his ice cream parlour sponsor's colours, and then melts into the trees. Mike Limbrick goes by. David Hobbs' Toyota Corolla twitches from the gravel onto the seal. Another of the countless corner markers, doing what it should do, stuck in the ground until Hannu Mikkola comes along and knocks it flat. There was a stimulating moment for the camera crew who happened to be right behind it. Reg Cook, the Nissan, avoids the marker. And Jim Donald doesn't hit the marker either. He's the fastest New Zealander on the stage. Tom Mason takes it judiciously. Close behind, Kevin Smith shows how it should be done. Ray Wilson just does it quietly. There's no action yet at this control, so there's obviously little to be enthusiastic about. Waiting by one of the countless camper vans that nourish the rally. Still, the leaders are expected at any minute. Through the letterbox slot in the plastic window, Maurizio Perisano hands the driver's card. The finish time is recorded. And Radio New Zealand's Ian Woodley keeps the crew up to date with the other front-runners' times. Brings his leading starlet into control. Invariably, after the heat and effort of a special stage, the first thing that rally drivers do is shed their helmets. In an international rally, there are sponsors' reminders everywhere. They pay the way for most. His helmet replaced with a sponsor's cooler cap, Adams heads off to service, drawing spectators with him. Rally publicity records that the Matawai tea rooms will remain open after the longest stage on the rally, dispensing sandwiches, gallons of tea and coffee, and providing some warmth for tired and cold crews and bone-weary rally drivers alike. 18 hours after the day began, Maury Chandler summons all his concentration.
I think the biggest problem is you've got to keep talking to yourself on the way through and sort of get the initiative to get up and go again. You keep sort of lagging in the middle.
You lose concentration?
You can do if you don't apply yourself very easily. Yeah, it starts to go off after about 40k. You've really got to work at it again.
One stage to go in this division, mercifully a short one, and Maury Chandler readies himself to carry on. But Hannu Mikkola has finished his run. He got ahead of Meta. He'd caught Bottega. He was closing quickly on fellow countryman Timo Salinen's Nissan when burnt-out wiring sidelined his Audi, leaving Michel Mouton's lone Quattro almost 5 minutes ahead of Valteroa before the long night trek back to the Travelodge in Rotorua and sleep. This was forcing them to sleep by the day and lunch refreshed late in the afternoon.
Very good. Very good. Now we see how it goes in the rain.
Quicker.
I'm sure.
Oh, wait.
The biggest problem we have, we've only got a little tiny engine, and our gear ratios for the tight stuff are probably just a little bit too wide, and when we come out of first gear and the second gear, if there's a hill with a little bit of power, it'll just wind its way slowly up the hill, whereas if we come out of a corner and it's a nice straight or downhill section, it really flies. So if we could just alter that gearbox to bring second gear a bit closer to the first, it would make it a lot quicker in the uphill stuff.
By Monday evening, because of her lead, the Sanyo Rally of New Zealand is being called affectionately Michelle's Rally.
But you know that it's because...
There's still time before the third and final division begins to read a report on what's been going on. Although it's not essential to agree with someone else's version, the rally plunges into the last night forest stages. The rally's kept pretty much to time, but not here. The leaders get away on their given minutes to be followed into this stage by an ambulance. A service crewman has been hurt after his vehicle rolled in the dark and now very wet and slippery forest tracks. He'll be all right, but the rally will be held up for 70 minutes. Driving conditions could hardly be worse. Water turns the forest roads into a treacherous porridge, making every corner an adventure. Michelle Mouton used the four-wheel drive traction to great advantage, but slowed on this stage because of an overheating engine. Valterol's Lancia, faster than Mouton's Audi by 8 seconds on special stage 23. On all the forest stages of this last wet night, Shaker Mater had been trading 5th, 6th and 7th fastest times with the Nissans of Jim Donald and Reg Cook. Usually, Mater, Cook and Donald were within 30 seconds of each other. Times which apparently concern Yvonne Mater as they lead up to service in Taupo. Valterol has been whittling away at Mouton's lead until Parc Ferme in service in Taumarunui. But beyond Taumarunui, on special stage 28, 52 kilometres of twisting Waitawhena Road, the Audi didn't come through.
Unfortunately, we have to report that Michelle is out. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Michelle is out.
When did that happen?
2 kilometres in this last stage.
And what went wrong?
We're not sure. We haven't seen her yet. We'll hear from her well, hopefully through one of the service crews shortly.
Is the car drivable?
Apparently not. Latest reports are that she was on the side of the road with the helmet off and the bonnet up, and just looking at the car.
There's absolutely no chance of getting it out on getting it back.
Not now. No, too late now at this stage. Yeah.
So that's all of them.
That's all of them. Regrettably, yeah.
Well, that'll be a great disappointment for you.
Yes, very much so. But I guess that's motorsport.
Trevor Hudson of European Motors must be wondering just what Audi has to do to finish a rally in New Zealand. In the wake of Mouton's retirement, Valterol noticeably takes it easier, risking nothing. Shaker Mater demonstrates that if you wish to empty a stream, then simply drive out the water. Kevin Smith approaches prudently and proves that prudence is not always the way, losing precious seconds clearing his motor. Mike Limbrick takes the plunge. Obviously, when it comes to Fords, Datsuns who hesitate are lost. But there's a limit to the time you can reasonably sit stemming the tide. So wet feet, grunt, and electronic wizardry move the Datsun on. Don't let John Coker go by. As always, the lead car, itself no slug, clears the special stage, and not far behind comes Walter Roll onto winding wet tarmac on the last morning's downpour. Cancelling its number, Michel Mouton's stricken Audi.
You know, the first reaction that when you stop and you know that it's finished, and you see the other car going to the finish line, it's quite difficult to accept. But in the same time, I know that it's rallying. You try to go with your car, your team, and everybody, and try to finish and to win. Sometimes you can do it, and sometimes the mechanic said no, and you have to stop and you have to accept it.
Finally, the rally returns to Maramarua Forest in the last special stage, 33. Walter Roll is completely in control. Timo Salonen brings the Nissan through to his final second place overall. Attilio Bettega frequently looks within a hair's breadth of losing control, sliding home to third behind Timo Salonen. Jim Donald knows these tracks well, third on the stage, fifth in the rally. The Mazda, Steve Woolley and Kerry Booth coming home 16th. A fine drive from Brian Stokes to finish 11th and win the Dunlop Rally Driver of the Event Award. 59 cars began the rally. There'll be 33 at the end, including John Coker and his 35 horsepower Skoda, bounding round a Maramarua bend. Last home, but home nevertheless. Those people who followed the rally seemed reluctant to believe the competition is now all over.
Together for the current world champion at this stage.
In Auckland, a large crowd has gathered to welcome the now miraculously spotless cars and all the rally people home to almost where the rally began 3 days ago. They gather to acknowledge a winning team, Walter Roll and Christian Geisdorfer. 12 hours, 10 minutes and 13 seconds closer to a world championship.
Put your hands together for a welcome.